What really matters, strategy or skill? Does a hero play outdo a perfect strategy, or does the strategy hold long enough for the hero to be struck down? Welcome back to Team DM Player Learns and Teaches You About Pro Play. I'm your teacher, Bob Ross, and today we are going to be talking about one of my favorite debates. The debate between, oh, but it's the macros, we have to do everything perfectly, in this lineup, and everything, versus, you're gonna get shot in the face! You're gonna lose the round! It's a gun game! Or, in simpler terms, strategy versus mechanical skill. Anti-strat versus hero plays. OSBOS versus FNF.
To work at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Great establishment. I mean, no, really, it's the best. They do.
Now, you might be thinking, doesn't luck play a part into this? And you'd be right, but luck kind of plays a part into both sides, so I just thought it probably equals itself out. So let's just focus on the video, alright? Let's just focus on the subject. Let's just focus on the video about pro cartoon gun game. Now, strategy versus skill. Let me break it down. But for real, let me show you exactly what this looks like in real time, in a map that I think perfectly summarizes most of the key points I'm going to talk about when it comes to this debate. Sentinels versus G2, America's Grand Finals, Map 1, Haven. This starts on the very first round of the very first map of this series, in fact. You can see Sentinels are gearing up to do a pistol they've done a lot. And as you can see, there's 3 people leaning over towards C on G2's side, and only really like 1, 2 if you want to count Jonah P leaning over towards A. So, Zekken's going to try and, bait out the wall if there was a wall there. There isn't. And they make a really good call. You see these 3 people are contacting up A. Now this means that there's nothing that can give away what they're doing, and they should be able to kill this guy and take the free site. They make a really good call here. However, a misstunned and some nice shots by Leaf and some support by Jonah makes sure that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, and they will lose this pistol round. Now that was an example of a great call by Sen that just didn't matter because of missed utility and some nice shots. Now let's do it the other way around. Now we're going to start in the middle of this round, right? It's a 3v3, the C site's clear, Sentinels are going to come up and walk up and plant the bomb here. However, notice G2 have a really good reactions here. Look what happens when Jogamo clears out this A space, he calls Valorant to clear out this B space, and they will push behind together and try and pinch Sentinels after they have taken this site. Now Leaf goes for a little bit of a play on site, doesn't work out, but then he tucks. They don't know he's behind here. These are really good reactions by G2. As you can see, Jogamo pushing, there's a low time, they're going to be met by like so many different fights and they're going to be pinched in. They have no map control essentially and little time. This is great reactions by G2. Valen even ends up getting 2. It's a 2v1 at this point. It's all up to Zekken, but he bails them out. He bails them out with a pretty nice ace.
Dodging, sliding off to the side. Ult expended.
It's another example of a good reactionary call by a team that just doesn't end up mattering because Zekken hit some nice shots. Get this fucking ad placement out of here. I'm not sponsored. Now let's move on to probably the most egregious example of this in this map. Let's look at the position of this round. G2 have 4 ults that if you combine correctly, essentially makes the round unwinnable after post plant. These are 4 incredible retake ults. Breach ult, Yoru ult, Teho ult, and Astra ult. Sen also have some ults, but you got Cypher ult, Omen ult. The only really 2 ults they can combo is these 2. And you're going to see that they try to. If I fast forward, Sen end up getting the C site and planting. Now they understand that they really have no control. They're kind of pinned out. They really don't have that much control. So you're going to see them try and combo the 2 ults I mentioned earlier, but G2 just wait it out. They don't give them anything. And in fact, they do this, they re-clear out garage to make sure nothing is happening, and they're just going to fight together. Sentinels have no map control in any way. Then they use their ult, they use the Teo ult. Jogamo does a really nice play here where if you look at the minimap right now, he's blocking Zelsis. Zelsis cannot get out. So Zelsis is forced to go into the Teo ult, and he dies from it. It's a 5v2 at its peak. No way should Sentinels be winning this round in any circumstance.
Posturing, trying to offer themselves up here in a raid.
But what the fuck is that? What, like, what is that? What is that? You're gonna watch this one more time. No way should they be winning this. They even double swing correctly. Look at that reset. Maybe the spacing could have been a little bit better, but fuck you. Look at that reset. Now let's go into like a smaller moment within a round that ended up making Sentinels win the round. That is kind of another example of what I'm talking about here. G2 have this trap set up. They are ready for this walk contact up A that Sentinels are doing. They have read them. They understand what they are going to do. And they have this double stun, aftershock, trap setup, whatever you want to do. See the stuns, everything happening, aftershock. It doesn't matter though, because zekken just kills 2 stun. Again, great util by G2, great plan by G2. It could have been maybe executed a little bit better. They were fumbling around with the utility, but they understood what was coming. And again, zekken just decides, nah, the stun, it just doesn't work on you. Now, to show you that it isn't always just shots, it could also be hero plays made from smart decision making. Well, let me introduce you to this round. Sentinels are going to exec on this site, their default exec, and they're going to get Taeho ult stunned. zekken gets taken out. Bang, though, decides to make a play and TPs behind 2 people and kills both of them before the Vice ult can hit him. And well, that leads to an advantage too big for G2 to be able to come back from in the round, and they win. Now, in case you thought I was just waffling out of my ass, Sliggy reinforces my point here by saying exactly what I've been saying.
Okay, there's been a lot of hero plays from Sentinels to like help secure rounds. I'm not saying they needed them. Some rounds, obviously, like the narrate one, they needed them, but they kind of need another one.
And would you guess it? zekken walked his way back into B site undetected, and you're dead. Now, what would happen? With all this momentum and with all these hero plays, you would imagine Sentinels winning this map, right? Well, G2's strategy would eventually overcome how hot Sentinels were shooting and having hero plays this game. And they would eventually win 13-9. So let's talk about it a little bit more. I'm going to give you 3 takes here. And the third one is the most important, but also probably a little bit more obvious than you realize. The first one is sustainability. Which of these 2 things can you sustain for longer? Now, you might hear this and think, strategy is obviously the thing that is easier to sustain, right? But that's not always true. What if you have set strats for only a couple of rounds? Or what if the confidence in your calling gets shaken up by going against someone who seems to win even when you do everything perfectly? And we can flip that the other way around as well. What if you're destroying your opponents just based off of your hero plays, but they don't panic? In fact, they are so confident in their prep and strategy that they understand this can't keep up. And, they keep doing the perfect things. The laws of momentum tell you that eventually you'll cool off, right? And you won't have the ability to keep bailing yourself out. It just depends on what can be sustained for longer. And to figure that out, you kind of have to go case by case, context by context. Different things seem to happen for different maps and different matches because different circumstances arise. Secondly, let's talk a little bit about momentum. Now, I touched on the laws of momentum in my last point a little bit, saying that eventually you'll cool off, right? Well, that's not always true, especially if you get that momentum from the very start. Let me explain. Now, I've watched enough Valorant to understand that ultimates are one of the most important parts of this game. So, if the right player gets hot and the right player makes hero plays early on, they can get their ultimates early. And with certain ultimates and certain ultimate combos, it does not matter who or what you're going against. They will 90% of the time, if you don't do something drastically wrong, get you around and force your enemies into a tough, economical situation. Which also means you can repeat that process over and over until, oh wait, look, we just won the map. And lastly, this is the most important point. So listen up, get something to write down notes, because this will change your perspective on pro play as a whole. None of this matters if you have both of these things on your side. Thanks for watching the video.